Hopefully that's better. If you were having trouble on YouTube and that fixed it, thank you. Welcome in. If it didn't fix it, apologies. I don't know what else to do right now.
Yeah.
But EJ coming in too, saying good morning, Nick. Let's talk some football. Dylan, always a huge help with the coffee emoji. Absolutely. I think that's why I've got a little cough. And thanks for picking me up on that.
Yeah, no problem.
Joking.
I can pick up on those. Yeah, Dylan Von Arks. Great to see you, Dylan. Always fun to talk football with Dylan. Also, we got Jeremy's in the house. Luke Wright is in the house. And, of course, Ethan. I'm ready for Ethan to give me some more linebacker crap. Hey, Ethan, you know what? I relent. Just signed, what's his face? That how disrespectful of me. The Seattle, Bobby Wagner. I was like, Billy Wagner? That was a closer for a number of years. Bobby Wagner, the DWI guys coming in. Good morning, gents. Falcons and Broncos country, baby. What is Falcons country? What does Falcons fandom call themselves?
Falcons country, kinda, but it's not really like that. It's like a Dirty Bird Nation. There isn't any one thing for that. Falcons Nation. The ATL is kind of where it goes. It's more of an encompassing thing with the South. It looks like people are starting to roll back in. Apologies, because I think we were going to have a pretty good group that I had to boot y'all out, and people are starting to come back in on YouTube. Wrong chat from Cleo. This was a retracted message. I'm interested what he put in there. Wrong chat. Yeah. What was in your incognito tab, Clee? And EJ, I think we said hello to EJ just in case. Scott and Nick, Malik Willis showed off his arm strength throwing those deep bombs in his pro day. Will the Falcons get him in the draft? It's a good question with Malik Willis. And, I'm starting to see people already going into the Twitter after a pro day saying, Falcons are going to have to move up to number 1 if they want to get to Malik Willis. I'm like, no. What did Malik Willis do that we didn't already know?
I mean, the one thing that he could do is they're judging the interactions, character, personality, and those kind of things as much as the pro day. And you're seeing, what kind of gravity does he have? Is he somebody that you can follow, and how do his teammates interact with him, his coaches? So that's something where they might be picking up a little bit of information. But as far as throwing against air, it's awesome to see that he can do it. The other thing is, and this is just kind of me riffing on a theory I have, but you're kind of talking about it earlier. Where is Matt Ryan to go? What teams would want him? There has never been a larger volume of competent quarterbacks in the NFL. Andy Dalton is out there right now. You could trade Jimmy Garoppolo for anything. Baker Mayfield, they're begging you to take Baker Mayfield. These are quarterbacks who can win you some football games. So I think because of that, and also in this draft class, a bunch of competent, probably-esque quarterbacks. Matt Corral, Kenny Pickett, etc., Sam Howell. So I think a lot of these teams are going to start pivoting their evaluation of the quarterback and start chasing ceilings even more. Because if you don't have a top 10 quarterback, a guy who's a superhero, good freaking luck. So I think that's something to think about with Malik Willis. What did he show? He showed that he has the superhero traits. He's probably the only one in this class that has them. Maybe Desmond Ridder. But I think that changes things a little bit. I think the evaluation, because of how the quarterback landscape has changed, like in the 90s and 80s, you only had 10 guys who could play ball. Now you have 30 guys who could play ball, but there's 5 to 10 that are true difference makers. So I think that could change a little bit. Willis could be one of those guys, even if it's just a Yahtzee roll of a chance, not very good. He's the one who it could work out that way. Maybe that makes him worth the dice roll.
Well, I think I wrote an article not too long ago that said a good Malik Willis is good for the Atlanta Falcons. And normally people, headline readers, are, well, they don't want Malik Willis. Stop saying that. I'm like, not what I said. Morons. Yeah. What I said was, if you're looking to trade down or you're looking to get one of those other premium picks, you want the quarterbacks in there because it'll enhance your trade down value and it'll push one of those other guys down to you that you might want. I could get behind a Malik Willis pick. That's not who I would want at this stage. No. If you're passing on Justin Fields, why are you taking Malik Willis? If you're not quite ready yet, I think Justin Fields was a better prospect. And again, there's the hindsight of that. Oh, he was terrible in Chicago. He went to a bad team. All these guys went to bad teams. That's part of it. It's part, except for Mac Jones. He went to the Patriots. Oh wow, the Patriots quarterback was the most successful. No kidding.
Asked to do the least too.
Yeah, and someone struggles with the Detroit Lions, really, or the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's shocking to me. So again, if Malik Willis, where would he have gone in this draft last year? Malik Willis, let's talk about him. Oh, he could be number 1 overall this year. Where does he go last year's draft?
For me, he would have gone before Mac Jones because I am all the way out on quarterbacks who don't have some trump card trait. So Mac Jones, just not for me. I think he's going to be fine on his rookie contract, but I'm not drafting a quarterback for simply their rookie contract. And we're going to see how that
15,
plays out.
18?
I think, yeah, 15 to
Mhm.
20 range makes sense for Malik Willis.
Okay,
Yeah.
so why would you reach at 8 on him now? It's not as good a draft. I'll get
Yeah.
that because I actually went a little farther. I said he probably wouldn't have been a first round pick last year. But there's so much depth in this class, and you can get somebody. If Kayvon Thibodeau falls to you, if Kyle Hamilton falls to you, if Trevon Walker is there. I mean, I could go. You're looking for a building block. How about one of the big dudes that can play 15 years too? I mean, I can make an argument for Jordan Davis at 8, probably a little easier than I could Malik Willis right now. And the reason why is because, well, you got that anchor in the middle. You got a flood of picks in the back where I can get edge guys all through, all edge and linebacker all through the second, third, fourth rounds. And I'm going to stink. I'm targeting my quarterback next year. Appreciate and as Clee said, the comment, EJ, and as Clee says, Falcons should be excited for the 2023 possible number 1 pick and $150 million. And that was part of the discussion about Deshaun Watson. Now, Nick, 3 first-round picks and maybe a little change for Deshaun Watson, that was being rumored and actually happened. They say, is that too much? And, when you start thinking about it, I'm like, 1, I don't think so. And 2, here's why. You're going to need to use one of those picks on a quarterback anyway. It's not like you were trading Matt Ryan and 2 first-round picks and keeping one of those first-round picks. You were going to have to use one. If you didn't get Deshaun Watson, one of these next 3 years is going to be a quarterback at your first-round pick. So, in essence, you're trading 2 first-round picks and a quarterback for Deshaun Watson, for a 26-year-old guy. Again, forget the off-field stuff. 3-time Pro Bowler in 4 years. Yeah, that's worth it. that's worth it. The 49ers traded that much for a guy who'd never played a down of anything above D3 football. Wasn't quite that bad, but you get my point.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that would have been worth it to build for the next 12, 15 years. Maybe not 15, but at least, 10 to 12 years. So, yeah, it would have been worth it. And we just passed the 18-minute mark. I want to say hello to our presenting sponsor, Ryan Kennedy Homes, a realtor in the North Metro Atlanta area. The real estate market in Atlanta is still the hottest I've ever seen. I've been here most of my life. I've lived in LA where things don't even go on the market and they just go for overvalue and people don't even clean up their homes. They say, yeah, you want to buy it? Come make me an offer in cash. I've lived in New York, worked out of New York, lived in New Jersey. I've seen the same thing. That's what Atlanta has turned into. So if you want to sell and maximize, this is a great time. And if you're trying to move here, you got to have an agent. And none better than Ryan Kennedy. So check out RyanKennedyHomes.com. The number is there. The website is there. I promise you will you'll be happy with your agent. So thank you to Ryan Kennedy Homes. EJ says Malik Willis would bring the Dirty Birds back. It'd be interesting. And that's the thing is a quarterback like that brings hope. Now he'd sit for a year behind Marucs Mariota, which isn't the worst thing in the world. And Marcus, and we haven't even talked about that, Nick. Marucs Mariota was signed. I thought the timing was a little harsh. Matt Ryan's announced, and within, it felt like 10 minutes. Yeah. We have agreed to terms with Marucs Mariota. I'm like, dude, at least let Matt Ryan's body cool before, you're moving in someone else. I felt that was a little harsh, but I was also a little surprised they spent as much as they did on Marucs Mariota. It'll be about 8 to 9 million this year, I think. 10 million this year, which again isn't bad for a starting quarterback. They don't need a starting quarterback. They need a babysitter this year.
Yeah. Mariota, everybody talks about him being an incredible leader and very humble and good person for direction. A lot of people are like, why would you sign Marucs Mariota? It's going to raise your floor. Well, you also need to make sure that you're not completely resulting in a culture in that locker room that, apathetic, doesn't care. You still need some adults in there to make sure everybody's pulling the right direction, even if the losses are starting to pile up. So I agree. I think this is a good signing. Maybe he does raise your floor a little bit, but these are guys' careers you're talking about and professionalism. You're not going to go out there and start Josh Rosen this season. That's unacceptable for those guys that in there putting their bodies and their careers on the line every snap they take. So looks like I see that a couple people said YouTube not working, but then we say, here we go. So I'm not sure what's going on. Maybe YouTube's having some issues, Scott.
Yeah,
But
it's the numbers on YouTube aren't nearly as good as they should be, considering how good they are on Facebook right now. We've got good Facebook, so make sure you hit that like and share. But and you know what? Let me I don't know if it'll help. Let me drop my Facebook link into
the chat.
Sorry for the pause here, everybody.
No, it's okay. I can answer this question too. So EJ, thank you very much. Malik Willis would bring the Dirty Birds back. This Falcons team is not ready for a young quarterback. And I know that earlier you could talked about it as far as getting the cap right with a young quarterback, but I really think that if you bring in Malik Willis, you're still 2 to 3 years off from competing. And by that point, you have mostly used up Malik Willis's excellent, really excellent contract. So personally, I think that the Falcons, then Scott said 100 times, but he's correct in this one. The Falcons' best bet would be trading back from 8, getting a bunch of picks, getting some more 2023 picks as well, filling out the roster with a bunch of young, cost-controlled rookies, and raising the floor of the team, giving yourself some options at cornerback, at pass rusher, at defensive tackle, at offensive tackle, wide receiver. I mean, there's bodies to be had there. I would take as many as I could in the top 100 this draft class, and then this 2022 going to be a rough year, but then you kind of at least, I think, jumpstart your window by being able to add all those draft picks. Not every single one's going to hit, but it should help a lot. So Malik Willis, if he's there at 8 and you absolutely love him, then okay, that's fine. But I think the best course of action for the Falcons is a trade back from 8. Now that might be difficult because it sounds like more and more the Detroit Lions might go Malik Willis at 2, and the Carolina Panthers, everyone laugh, might go Kenny Pickett at 6. Which would be something else. But I think that right now, trade back is the best scenario for the Falcons.
If the Falcons trade up for anybody, again, you've heard me use this phrase before, merciless. I will be merciless if they trade up in this draft.
Yeah. I could see them like let's say you absolutely love Tyler Penning or Trevor Penning, and he's there at 31, and then you're talking about from like 8
and up.
Yep.
8 and up. If you package 2 second rounds and go get Devontae Wyatt at 30 because you really like him, or Perion Winfrey, or whatever, I'm okay with that. I'd be okay with that. But I still say this is a draft where you want as many second, third rounds, maybe even fourth rounds as you can possibly get. You want to talk about cap control. Let's get guys on second round contracts. Man, I'm really bummed that YouTube is acting like this for us today.
Some
might
people
be a
have it,
bad
though.
connection with StreamYard. Mark, appreciate you coming over and finding us. Because YouTube says, it tells me here, it says you are live in StreamYard, but it doesn't seem to be working correctly on YouTube itself, and that's kind of a pain. So that stinks. Good chat going on there, it seemed. And y'all know Low.
Hello.
Y'all know Low. I had a longtime poster. He went by Low IQ because his son set up his screen name. This wouldn't be him. Low was great. Low was awesome. So I don't know if this is Low IQ or not. I don't think so. Based on the Low was much older based on the picture. So I want Jordan Davis at 8. And y'all know Low, we talked about that a little bit. It's like, what way if I want one guy, let's put the big guy in the middle at 8. If I want to rebuild, let's start right dead center, the closest guy to the football on the defensive side of the ball. And he's not going to change. It's not like taking a cornerback or, a speed wide receiver or a running back or something like that. Jordan Davis is going to be big and strong for the next 30 years of his life. He's not going to lose as much from his quickness as somebody that, that you're talking about a speed position like that, an edge guy who you'd waste a year almost, which is one of the reasons why I said I don't want a wide receiver. A wide receiver for this group is a wasted year. You're getting nothing. And then maybe you're okay next year, maybe. But then you're wasting year 2 on a wide receiver because your passing game still sucks until you rebuild that offensive line and stuff. So appreciate the comment. Y'all know Low. I could absolutely make I'm reading these chats and it's just driving me nuts.
It's
Heads up,
okay.
there's 2 different streams going on. One is still on the wait screen with half everybody stuck on that stream. Hopefully people are coming over to Facebook. Doesn't look like they are, which kind of sucks.
Well, they're missing some great content. Eric McDowell coming in with some draft takes as well. I'd like to get to his first one, if you would click on it for me, please. He says that
where are we? Give me a
it's
time.
6:54.
54, and we're looking for Eric. Okay.
Yeah, he says, please, we don't draft a quarterback in this draft. I don't disagree with you at all. Again, if you love Malik Willis and you got to have him and he falls to you at 8, I think there's, who knows what happens next year. Maybe you want to draft Will Anderson in the top 3 in that scenario. You don't know if you are going to be as bad as the Falcons team is. Maybe Arthur Smith pulls out the coaching job of a lifetime and you win 5 games next season, and that gets you at pick 6. So there's never a guarantee on that one. Eric McDowell also says, I'd rather have Travis Jones over Jordan Davis. I think for position or for where they're going to be drafted, I might agree with you. I think you're going to have Travis Jones going probably about pick 28 to 40. So he might fall to you. We'll see. They're both really good nose tackles. They're definitely the premium 1 technique, 0 technique nose tackle bodies in this class. And you talk about quarterback pro days, Malik Willis yesterday. Somebody to keep an eye on today, maybe would interest you Falcons fans. CJ Stroud is throwing at the Ohio State Pro Day today to help showcase his wide receivers and tight end and the plethora of talent that Ohio State has. So CJ Stroud will watch.
He's just going to get people's mouth watering.
Yep.
CJ Stroud, the quarterback at Ohio State.
It's fun, though, because it's going to be a lot of guys that went to probably see Malik Willis will now be at CJ Stroud, and to be able to see them back to back can at least give you a pretty good idea of.
It should be fairly similar, I think, as far as what you see in that setting. I don't think it'll separate itself that much. I think CJ is a little bit more accurate in a game setting. And Eric, I'm with you on this one based on the value. Falcons at 43. When I do mocks, Travis is almost always there on a lot of these, and I grab Travis Jones at 43. I would rather have Travis Jones at 43 than Jordan Davis at 8. No doubt in my mind. If Jordan Davis, let's just say in some fantasy universe, was at 43, I'd rather have Jordan Davis, the player, than Travis Jones, a player. But they're really close to me, but their value seems to be off. So I would rather have Travis Jones in that spot. And let's see, there was one, I think it was Joe coming in. He said, Joe Cannon says, I'd love to trade back and take Jermaine Johnson in the first with Travis Jones and Christian Watson in the second. Here's what's interesting about that, Joe. You might not have to trade back to do that. With 2 second-round picks, you might be able to take – you might have to take Jermaine. And that's the thing about the quarterbacks. See, now I'm getting all fired. My coffee's kicking in, and looks like this stream is – I've given up on it, so to hell with it. It will – if Malik Willis goes in the top 7, if Kenny Pickett goes in the top 7, you might get Trevon Walker. You might get Jermaine Johnson. You might not have to trade back in order to make those 3 moves, which would be really good. I'm a big fan of Christian Watson. You will hear me raise hell if they take a receiver at 8. Raise hell. I'll be upset with a quarterback at 8, but not as bad. But to get those 3 guys, you're talking about an edge. Yes, please. A big man in the middle at nose guard / defensive tackle. Absolutely. And you're talking about a 6'4" receiver with 4.4 speed who can jump through the gym and has outfielder's gloves for hands. Yes, please. Yes, please. Yes, please. That would be a great first 3 picks for me, Joe. Love it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, Jermaine Johnson, he might be the pick at 8. He's good enough there. It's not a great value there at 8 compared to some guys, but there's some talk that Jermaine Johnson could go before Kayvon Thibodeau. So we'll see if that plays out that way. I mean, you are getting while Jermaine Johnson's a little bit older, he tested really great. He's got great size. And the Falcons last year, not very good at getting after the quarterback, not very good against the run up front. Jermaine Johnson, plug and play, big help on both of those fronts. So really good player.
And so YouTube's just popped in. It said there were 35 people in here on YouTube, and then it went back to 2. It's not connecting with StreamYard right now, unfortunately. Something's going on. Yeah. And that's the last I'm going to say about it, except on Twitter to say apologies. Here it is after the fact. If you have any questions, I will answer them.
Yeah, for sure. Travis. Oh, we had Travis too. We didn't get to him, but
sorry. Yeah, Travis. We'll come back to you, Chris, in just a moment. Good morning, Nick and Scott from Travis. Do you see the Falcons drafting quarterback? Who will they take? Yes, I see the Falcons draft a quarterback, and that was one of the points I wanted to make, actually. But hopefully not at 8.
No.
Not at 8. Do you want to use you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the top 151 picks now, 8 in the top 200. That's pretty much everybody. But 7 in the top 51. Do you use one of those picks later in the draft on a quarterback? Yeah, I think you do.
Yeah.
I still see some folks talking about Felipe Franks. No. Tight end. Maybe tight end, but not at quarterback.
Yeah.
Bring in a guy who's a true passer. Can be athletic. Love the athleticism, but someone who's a true passer. Felipe Franks is an athlete playing quarterback, not a quarterback who is an athlete, and there is a difference. So bring him in and use him in special packages and stuff. But I think you're still drafting a guy to hold a clipboard behind Mariota next year, and maybe you get lucky and he has some upside, and he's one of those 4th rounders that turns into Russell Wilson.
I mean, even if that 4th rounder develops into a solid backup, you have that's value. I mean, that is value. 18 game season now. Quarterbacks are getting dinged up. Last year we had 50 quarterbacks play or have over 100 snap attempts. The backup quarterback is going to be important for a lot of teams at some point in the season. So I definitely think that drafting a quarterback, the 2 guys I like, day 3, EJ Perry from Brown and Caleb Ellaby from Western Michigan. Maybe you can get Sky Moore in the 2nd round and then get Caleb Ellaby in the 4th and kind of pair those 2 together. That would be very helpful, I think. So would be interesting. Eric McDowell coming back in saying, I'd love the Falcons to take Christian Watson. Yeah, I mean, you're not going to see any complaints here. I think Christian Watson right now, I had a conspiracy theory the other day. Do you think this maybe is a little bit backwards, but we did that Pro Football Focus mock draft simulator. If I was a player's agent and I wanted some hype for a player, I would say, hey, can you underrate him a little bit so that way he's in every single person's mock draft? Because I see Christian Watson in every single Pro Football Focus mock draft because people get him 3rd round.
And then they give me a D+ for it when they say the Falcons need a wide receiver. I'm like, I need a wide receiver, and I got this guy at 75, and you're giving me a D+? Come on, man.
Yeah, silly. There are a lot of good other wide receivers too, though, that we want to keep in mind for. There is Vital, I think is his name. The one he was a really good down the field threat for at the Senior Bowl. Do you remember do you know who I'm talking about?
Velus Jones from Tennessee was the fast guy. It was a super fast guy. Jalen Drummond struggled mightily for Ole Miss. He's one that you can get in the 7th round, and that's about as high as I would pick him.
Yeah. The guy I'm talking about is Jalen Tolbert from South Alabama. He's a very good down the field.
He didn't flash for me.
Okay. What about Alec Pierce?
Nope.
Okay. He flashed at the.
But remember, I was planning on using day 3 as my quarterback, wide receiver, running back day again instead of just throwing on air, and we weren't allowed in because of the weather.
Yep. So those are 2 names as well that I thought tape wise. Alec Pierce, especially if you're looking for an X type of guy, Alec Pierce, and Tolbert's really good down the field wide receivers. So some other names to keep an eye on.
I mean, you're looking at 6'3", 211, 4'41", 40.5-inch vertical, leap 129 on Pierce with a 7'13" L cone. What's not to like? Can he walk and chew gum at the same time? There's lots of guys there. So immediately after the combine, I wrote an article. I'm like, the depth of wide receivers just proves they'd be idiots to take a wide receiver at 8. Anytime after the 2nd round, or if they trade back and pick up another guy, that's fine. But if they take a wide receiver at 8, like I said, I'll be relentless on. I'm still giving Dimitrov hell for the Julio Jones trade, and Julio Jones was damn good. It was just a stupid trade. Chris Walker, morning guys. I'm excited about the Carter signing. Lorenzo Carter, local product, went to Norcross High School. That is a good point, and I'll get to this in a second. We need a defensive end badly. How about a thought about Trevor Penning at pick number 8? It's Trevor Penning. I'm so used to seeing Penning. It's Trevor Penning, right? What's Penning's first name? Nick?
Trevor.
Hello?
Trevor.
It's
Trevor Penning. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Trevor Penning. Offensive tackle from Northern Iowa. It's too high for me. I've seen Penning go as high as 6 to the Panthers. I like him. I don't like him like that. I'd much rather go with one of the edge guys or big defensive lineman with more athleticism than Penning. I like Penning, not like that at 8. And you mentioned Lorenzo Carter because I watched Lorenzo Carter in high school, and you've heard me use the phrase, Nick, bouncing around like a pogo stick. Who does that remind me of? Sam Williams. Sam Williams at Ole Miss is a perfect comp for Lorenzo Carter. Now, Lorenzo Carter hasn't done all the things, hasn't become the guy that we thought he could, not even at Georgia. He was an amazing athlete and has had a nice career, but he was just really, really a good prospect coming out of Norcross High School. So that's who he reminds me of physically. As a physical specimen, Sam Williams, Ole Miss, reminds me a lot of Lorenzo Carter. If Sam Williams, if the Falcons were all in on Deshaun Watson, there shouldn't be any problems with Sam Williams. So keep an eye on Sam Williams out of Ole Miss.
Yeah, no, absolutely. He's really fun. They're gonna have to do the background check on him, but he's a really interesting player, no doubt about that. Scott, we're talking a little bit about the 8th overall pick, directions you'll go. You mentioned everybody but one name that I'm curious. I have a very strong stance on this one, but I'm curious where you would think about this. So 8 overall, the board could fall away where this guy is probably the best player available there. Sauce Gardner. You haven't mentioned him once there at 8. I know you guys signed Hayward. You brought back Isaiah Oliver, and of course you have AJ Terrell, one of the best 3 under 25 defensive backs in football right now. Phenomenal player.
I think
Probably
you
your
can
most
just take the under 25 and throw that out and say he might be one of the 3 best corners in football right now. He might be. He's in the argument.
He is in the argument. So Sauce Gardner, there at 8. I personally, if he's the best player available, they don't build guys like that very often with his movement skills and his length and fluidity. And a lot of people are obsessed with filling out weaknesses on rosters. I think that equally, if not even more valuable, is getting something that is such a strength on one side of the ball that it bottlenecks opposing teams schematically where they can't do anything about that. Like if you want to live in a cover 1 blitz-centric defense, you need 2 cornerbacks who you can live with on the boundary outside. And that's rare to get those 2 kind of guys. Gardner and Terrell might be it. I don't know if another team could combine the height, weight, speed, boundary cornerback ability of those 2. So is Gardner somebody you consider as well, or is that now more of a luxury pick? I think he could go as high as number 4 overall, honestly, or 3. He's that good.
Sauce Gardner at 8. Would you or would you not? And that was actually, I think yes. The answer is yes. You've got AJ Terrell and Casey Hayward. Why? Because Casey Hayward's 33 years old. He's a 1 year, maybe 2 at best. Whereas Sauce and AJ, you're talking for the next decade. So I kind of cringe a little bit at the best player available mantra, just because there's no way to know that. We're talking about prospects. You say, okay, Kyle Pitts was the best player available. Okay, maybe Micah Parsons was the best player available. Maybe Patrick Surtain was the best player available. Maybe all these guys that went behind him. Maybe Adafa Owe ends up becoming the best player out of this draft down the line. So I don't like that phrase because I don't think it's true. People state it like a fact. Well, he was the best player available
on your board.
No, he wasn't. Okay, he might have been the best prospect that you think, but that's an opinion. Opinions are not fact. That said, trust your scouting, trust your board. And if we love this guy, he's a corner that you can pair with AJ Terrell for the next decade and sew it up. Be done with it. I'm done with the cornerback position. Whatever else I got that problem licked. Yeah. And I can go, and then as Eric says, from free agents, I think we can go trench heavy in the draft. Now the next 2 drafts, I'm done at corner. And not only is that just, okay, I'm done at guard. Well, that's not as exciting. Corner is an awesome position to be done at. It's tough. I'd argue it's harder to find corners than it is to find quarterbacks. So yeah, I could absolutely go with Sauce at number 8.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, the chat's letting you know your connection kind of a little bit off there. That's why I didn't answer your Trevor earlier.
We're having all kinds of trouble today.
Yeah, technical problems. It's going to be okay. This is still a good show.
Out of here and reconnect my mic.
Okay, is it going to kick? Okay. Ooh, I don't know what to do with my hand. So yeah, guys in the chat, I can't click on anybody's because I'm considered a guest via this stream. But let's keep talking a little bit about the Falcons. Just kind of some housekeeping as far as the moves they've made so far. So the Falcons have brought in multiple cornerbacks. One player that I was really interested in that the Falcons brought in is somebody that I was hoping the Broncos would maybe be interested in. Isaiah Oliver. What a good signing back for the Falcons, bringing back Isaiah Oliver, a 1-year contract. Isaiah Oliver, before he got injured last season, was playing pretty darn well in the slot. I believe he's only 25, 26 years old, and still versatile. Good tackler, good length, a former 2nd-round pick out of the University of Colorado. I think that's a great signing for the Falcons. If you guys listen to me at all, I scream into the void about depth at the defensive back position. You can't have enough bodies there. I think while defense year to year is the most volatile, that teams you can't really bank on. Oh, I had a number one defense overall last year. It's going to be number one again. Historically, that does not happen. But if you want to have a little bit of stability at any defense, it is depth in the defensive back. I think that's the main thing that you're looking for there. So bringing back Isaiah Oliver, a 1-year deal, that's a great sign. And guess what? If your defense is better next year and Isaiah Oliver plays healthy, you're talking about maybe letting him walk and getting a comp pick. For bringing him back for 1 year, he's not going to hurt your comp formula. I think that's a great signing. That's been one of my favorite signings of any team so far this offseason because you're retaining him, because of the injury. I think you are buying low and you have a much better chance to get value return later on. So I was talking about my favorite signing the Falcons have done so far this offseason, and that was retaining Isaiah Oliver. 1-year deal, still young. Was looking pretty good in that nickel spot last year. And because he's a re-signing, he's not going to impact your compensatory formula picks. And if he plays healthy next year and he outside your market, you can get a comp pick in 2024 for him. So I absolutely adore that signing. That's my favorite deal, under the radar deal the Falcons have done so far. And you've heard me say on here, Scott, and I said it to the chat, defense year to year is extremely volatile, but the one thing that can give it a little bit of stability is depth in the secondary. And you have some depth now.
And there are two guys, honestly, on that one. Can you hear me now?
Yes, you sound clear. Yep.
Okay. Can you hear me now? Apologies for the technical difficulties, y'all. It's a little embarrassing. Thank you for sticking with us. The Isaiah Oliver, I feel I like the signing on a personal level. Why? Because Isaiah Oliver was brought in and he struggled on the outside mightily. He struggled mightily on the outside. Dean Pease brings him in and says, we're going to make you our nickel. We're going to drop you in the slot. And he was really, really good. Then he gets hurt and his contract's up. It's like, okay, so we found the spot for you. And now we're not even going to get the benefits of the crap that you've had to go through, and the Falcons fans too, because you haven't been very good. And that's not good for Isaiah Oliver. He knows that. You found some success with this team. Now enjoy it. Let the fans come back around and embrace you and be a productive member and leave a good spot with the Falcons fans, and your Falcons legacy, so to speak. And then you're hurt and you're gone. So that he's coming back and gets a chance to thrive again, I'm happy for him on a personal level, because once he was hurt, he was missed. And I'm glad he's getting a chance to come back. The other one's Cordarrelle Patterson, obviously.
Yeah.
Cordarrelle Patterson, this is the first time that he has signed a second contract with a team. Yeah. And he's found a home. And as he said, F the money. Don't get me wrong, he's going to make $10 million. But he may have been able to get $10 million in one season out on the open market. And he knew that Matt Ryan was gone before he signed, because he agreed to terms, but he didn't sign his contract, I think, until yesterday. Mm-hmm. So he could have backed out from that. He knew he wanted to be here. He felt the love, so to speak. The city embraced him. And I call it just a megawatt smile. When he comes out, he just lights up everything up with his charisma. And then his play was top notch. I mean, he plays every down like he's returning a kickoff. He's nuts. Yeah. Every time he gets the ball as a running back, he's just attacking the line of scrimmage. And at 230 pounds, 225 pounds that he is, that's a pretty good thing. So very, very happy for Cordarrelle Patterson and for Isaiah Oliver. I hope they have some success with the Falcons next year. Mark Schrader coming in. Thank you, Mark. You're awesome. Finding us on YouTube, finding us on Facebook, finding us on YouTube. We're not making it very easy for you today. And apologies. So thank you for sticking with us today. And he says, good morning, guys. Favorite Bronco pair. Thank you both, and Falcons too. It's nice. We've had some crossovers where we see some Broncos and the Falcons, and some Falcons go over to the Broncos stuff just to hear us talk football. And a lot of that is because, again, Nick and I are football guys. We love the process, and that's what's going to make probably the Falcons more fun in the next 24 months for guys like us than the Broncos, because it is a complete and total rebuild. So we get to talk about all the things that the Falcons could and should be doing with their newfound resources. Well, it's almost like getting a a new car at 15 and a half and wait until 16 because they can't use any of those resources until 2023. But the draft should still be fun. Should still be a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mark. Hope you're doing well. I saw, man, the tornadoes rolling through the South right now. Thoughts for anybody in New Orleans and everybody who was affected? Man, it's insane. Early or late March, early spring tornadoes. It sucks, man. Jeremy doesn't suck though. Falcons management is running the stream today. Yeah, Scott, that's earlier when you had the Trevor Penning question. You were staticky and your mouth was moving, and then the words would come behind you really fast. So I did not pick up what you were saying. I'm like, man, is this going to go away? But we're good now. You sound crystal clear. So as Paul said, your sound needed a little coffee. Everything's good now.
Who knows? There's some weather moving through here. Usually that doesn't affect us, but there was not the tornadoes, but it started raining about 3 a.m. And Falcons man is running the stream today. I almost spit out my coffee. Hasn't happened yet, but we're getting close. I almost spit out my coffee on that one. And that's funny. That's funny. I might not have laughed, but it's because I would have made a mess with my coffee. Kenneth Booker coming in with Ryan gone. Who do you pick at 8? Maybe Malik Willis. Maybe. We hit on this a little bit with Malik Willis. Maybe. There's people out there hyping him up as the number 1 overall now. If you want Malik Willis, you better go to number 1 because he won't slide number 2. Okay. I hope Detroit does that so that he's not an option for Atlanta at 8. It wouldn't be terrible. I could get behind the pick. I really could, because, having a year where he wouldn't be a sacrificial lamb and you're going to break the kid next year because Marucs Mariota will be your starting quarterback in 2022. He can be broken. he's the sacrifice out there. He knows the offense. Maybe they can at least be serviceable, maybe only be 28th in the league in offense instead of like the pass rush last year. It wasn't just last. It was so far beyond last, it was laughable. It was 32 and then some. You had to have 11 sacks to get from 18 to 29 to tie for second to last. That's insane. So maybe with Mariota, you're not 32nd, you're 28th, or, you're at least not that bad, because the pass rush last year was laughable. Maybe you can at least be professional with Mariota at quarterback. You're still going to be bad. Yeah. I don't want Willis at 8, but I could get behind the pick a little bit, but I don't want him at 8.
And here's a question for you, just because it sounds like he's going for pennies on the dollar. Do you have any interest in Baker Mayfield? I know that with him maybe brings competency, but I think you're getting competency with Marucs Mariota either. And with Baker Mayfield, you have a chance where he's got a good arm. He has a lot of things that you look for in a franchise quarterback. And the fact that you might be able to get him for a 6th round pick or something, which is insane to me. Does that interest you at all, Scott? I'm operating. I put all the quarterback stuff in a box once the Broncos got Russell Wilson because too much emotional damage there with the quarterback class, pro days, the quarterback market, et cetera, et cetera. But it feels like it's just like he is, unless he's toxic, which I don't know. I mean, the whole rah-rah thing there, I can't speak to that. Doesn't seem like his teammates in Cleveland loved him, so to speak. But God, his arm is good. He's pretty accurate. He was playing last year with an injured shoulder, I think it was a throwing shoulder even. He probably shouldn't have been playing. The issue is that, it's his 1 year left on his contract for $18 million or something. But still, you are a team now that is wandering the desert for a franchise quarterback. Mm-hmm. If you can roll the dice for a 6th round pick, I think I would at least be interested, not knowing all the details about the interpersonal stuff with Mayfield.
So again, to repeat the question, and I'm going to answer Kenneth's question here. Who do you pick at 8? Let's see who falls. Every once in a while, Evan Neal falls to 8 when I'm doing this drafts. I'd take Evan Neal. I don't necessarily need a left tackle, but I'd take Evan Neal at 8. Kayvon Thibodeau, Kyle Hamilton, Sauce Gardner, Trayvon Walker. I would entertain Derek Stingley Jr. for sure if he's healthy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's at least 6. Let me come down. Jermaine Johnson. There's 7. And let me see after that. That's probably the 7 that I would take at that spot before I would go quarterback. And one of those guys, several, you should have your pick from several of those guys. And let's take Evan Neal off. I don't think there's any way he's available at 8. I don't think one of those 6 should be available at the 8 spot. So
I would say there are
who would I like? I like Trayvon Walker.
Yeah. God, he's so fun. You know how much fun I was having mocking Teron Walker to the Broncos at 9 every chance I had before the combine, and now he's to the moon. I think there's a chance he could go number 3 overall.
And you
Go
asked me
ahead.
a question, and I
Yeah,
went back. Baker
okay.
Mayfield for a 6. If I could get a Teddy Bridgewater deal where they're paying his contract, sure, why not? What do you have to lose? They're
I mean,
sending you you want to get Baker Mayfield for $4 million in a 6-round pick? Yeah, yes,
yep.
yes. Again, unless you've got Carson Wentz questions around this guy, where he does more harm to the team for what you don't see than what you do. Because again, 4,000 yards, 26 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions for Carson Wentz for a guy that you just sent a first-round draft pick for is not move on from in 1 year type of numbers.
No.
There's something else going on there. Baker Mayfield might be a little erratic, but he's also a pretty good quarterback. And if I can get him, and if the Browns are willing to pick up the tab, yeah, why not? Why not? I'd absolutely bring him in. I don't think that's going to happen, though. I think the Browns have to do a little bit of work to make that contract work. You could probably check under over the cap real quick, but I think they need some salary cap relief is what they're going to need. So I don't see them picking up 75% of the contract for him. But Kenneth, no, I don't want Malik Willis at 8. I want one of the other guys at number 1 in 2023. And Eric coming in says we have a chance to have a nice defense this year. Yeah, honestly, it wasn't awful last year. All things considered how awful the pass rush was.
Yeah,
they were able to grind out some teams, and Eric Harris is coming back on a 1-year deal. He got hurt. He played okay for what you got. He was $1 million safety, journeyman safety. He was okay. You just got a lot better at the other corner. Fabian Moreau was awful. He was awful. And I say that because he made me mad watching him in run support. Just angry. When he's bailing, he'd engage with the wide receiver and he's taking off for the sidelines. That makes me mad out of a professional. That angers me. So anything that came wide and we're playing any kind of running quarterback, any kind of running threat, it was a free pass to the sidelines. And that made me angry. So that's not going to happen anymore. You cannot get any worse at edge than Stephen Means. Statistically impossible. Just statistically impossible. I can go back through the numbers again. We're running a little bit low on time. You're an improvement there if you run 10 men out there and you're not counting on him to do a job. So anything is better than that. Dante Fowler has been replaced with Lorenzo Carter. That's an upgrade. Ogundeji should be an improvement. Foye needs to be replaced. Foye Luakon, you need somebody else there, but you can probably pick a guy like him up. Say pick 74, pick 58. One of these super fast inside linebackers that's bigger, that's 240 pounds, 250 pounds instead of 210 of Foye. So the defense should improve. I agree with you 100%. It's it's still just not going to be good. Your safeties are still a liability. Your edge rushers are still a liability. You don't have a nose guard yet. If you put a rookie in there, and the defensive lineman on the other side of Grady is still a problem. And then the offensive line has not been addressed. So, and you got no wide receivers. So there's still gigantic holes on this.
Yeah. And we got Paul coming in. Why not stockpile draft capital if you're Atlanta? That takes 2 to tangle. That means somebody has to want to be trading up and giving you picks that you can stockpile. I think Atlanta, unless somebody they absolutely are over the moon about falls to 8, would ideally trade down from 8 to, Lord knows, 14 through 22 and get another 2023 pick and another 2 picks day 2 this season. That would be awesome for them. But again, it takes 2 to tangle, not tangle. So that would be definitely something they'd be wanting to do, but we'll see.
FC Donnelly says it might be better to wait until Baker gets cut so you don't have to pay him $18 million. His was a 5th option, was fully guaranteed. So they really can't cut him unless they want to try and do it after June 1st and take half now and half later. Right, Nick?
Yep. I believe that's the case. The 5th year, I mean, typically you don't see, this is such a weird, unprecedented area that I don't even know how it plays out. Then you have to compete with other teams as well that might be interested in him. I think that honestly, the Browns might even just sit on him because if he does get cut, there's some talk that the Steelers might be interested in him and they don't want him to go to this. That would be awesome for NFL narrative, but they don't want him to go into Pittsburgh. So I think
a good rivalry. That's a good rivalry. And that would be interesting. again, why not? We got Mr. Trubisky, but
Yep.
if I can get Baker Mayfield for a song, yeah, bring him in for sure. Joe Cannon coming in. Welcome, Joe. Appreciate you being here again. I recognize the picture again. Like I said, I'm a little off my game today with all the technical problems. Hopefully everything's been worked out. So thanks, Joe. Running back. Yes, the Falcons need at least another running back. Cordell Patterson, you got two because Mike Davis can still carry the load. I know he struggled, but when Mike Davis wasn't getting hit in the backfield or trying to make someone miss in the backfield, he was a pretty good running back. So Mike Davis is better than he showed. Cordell Patterson, those two can split the load, but I still want a third guy for sure. And I want a cheap one in the draft.
Yep. There's running backs to be had that fit the body type that I think you're looking for here. Some people with a little bit more mass that can carry low. Damien Pierce, I wish he would have tested a little bit better, but he's won day 3. Jerome Ford, former transfer from Alabama to Cincinnati, he's got home run hitting ability, and he's 5'11", 220. He's somebody that people are sleeping on a bit. I'm interested in him. I really like Tyler Algier from BYU. He's an interesting player. Again, 5'11", 220, the actual body type where he can play all 3 downs. You have Ty Chandler, former 5-star recruit, I believe, that transferred from Tennessee to North Carolina. He tested excellent. I really like his ability. And then a sleeper here that tested great at the combine that sent a lot of people back to the tape is Pierre Strong Jr. From South Dakota State. Tested very well, good size, 5'11", 210, 215. That's somebody that you should keep an eye on there as far as round 4, which I think is round 3 or 4 is probably about the sweet spot for running backs in this class, unless you are interested in bringing in Kenneth Walker, Breece Hall. But I think the Falcons you want to maximize that rookie contract on a running back. We talked about that with quarterbacks earlier, definitely for running backs. And I wouldn't be looking to spend a premium-ish pick on running back, which includes round 2 or round 3 for a running back, until this team is good to go. I would just do stopgap, cheap options until then.
Yeah, I do like Damien Pierce though. I like his body type, 5'10", 220, and he's fast enough. He's 4.5s, and guys slide off of him. Those are the kind of I can't wrap around this guy type of players. I really do like. So James Cook, 5'11", 200 pounds, 4.42. That might be a little high, but when I see him in the 5th in my mocks, I grab him. Yeah, that's where I start looking for a running back is 5th, 6th, 7th rounds. And when I'm doing mocks, I like to trade down and accumulate those picks because I know the Falcons need those guys.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, Scott, you're having a little bit of mic issues again here. So
yeah, I think it's about time to call it a day.
Yep.
And I'll do some things. So why don't you get us out of here, and then I'll say goodbye.
Yeah, guys, thank you so much for joining us today for Forging the Falcons. We are going to be going live on Wednesdays for the foreseeable future. I'll be a little bit less available once the summer months come because I'll be out, backpacking, hiking, whatever. But things are going to be a lot of fun here with Falcons. It's going to get worse product-wise before it gets better, I think. But I think that this is the absolute right move for this team. Moving on from Matt Ryan, it's the end of an era. But as Scott said earlier, he's absolutely correct. This team was not going to maximize the next 2 to 3 years with Matt Ryan. You were just delaying the inevitable. So rip off the Band-Aid, take your medicine, and bounce off the bottom hard. This seems like a team that is bound to bounce off the bottom hard next season. Going to be competing with a team like the Houston Texans, who are probably going to be dreadful next season as well. But still, I would be very interested in following this Falcons team next year because this is going to be, you're not going to want to miss this. Next year might be rough on the field, but this is where the origin story starts. Like all these young players are going to bring in this year. They're going to be parts that had been tested, gone through the darkness, and then hopefully come out the other side better for it. So a lot of fun here. We're going to have a lot of team building theoretical talks as well with this Falcons team as well, best direction to go. And I'm guessing a lot of draft picks to analyze as well. And the fun thing about the draft for the Falcons with a bad roster, a lot of these guys are going to play as well. So we're going to find out pretty quickly how they're going to fit, what they're going to do, what they're looking like, et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of fun today. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Scott's going to work on that on the back end. We're going to be fresh face, bushy tail, bright eyes next Wednesday as well. We'll see you guys Thursday morning over on Broncos for Breakfast. Hopefully we won't have any issues there. I'm going to say it's not Scott's fault. This is a YouTube StreamYard issue. Scott couldn't have done anything different. People. So we appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for joining us today too. Live chat section. A lot of Broncos fans. If you guys are Falcons fans in here too, make sure you're saying hello. And we want to, really foster that relationship and start building that community here as well.
Yep. Hopefully you can hear me say goodbye. Big thanks to our super chat superstars,
Yes.
Ethan, Mark, Kenneth. Love you guys. Appreciate the help. And like I said, this was it's going to be a fun time to follow the Falcons off the field, and we appreciate you doing it with us. And until next time, appreciate you being here. We'll see you again soon.